What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? And yep, we are back to Mondstadt. We're going to talk about the 5.6 live stream as a recap. And we're going to talk about the things that are happening, including the Archon quest, new characters, events, so on and so forth. So yeah, let's just begin. Now, as previously mentioned, we are going back to Mondstadt for the Archon quest. This is Interlude Chapter 4. So it's not like the mainstream ones, like a Netland story that we had recently. This is more of a tie-in, very similar to the Jet Building quest with Shenhe back in the day, and also the Scaramouche, nowadays it's called Wanderer. Yeah, so it's kind of more in that vein. And yeah, basically, there's something going on with Albedo. There's also like an invasion of the Abyss. There's a new weekly boss that makes use of chess mechanics. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And basically, we also have some name drops like Vaka, Alice, and Dahlia, who has been hinted at in a previous live stream with the silhouettes. So talking about the weekly boss itself, it all revolves around chess mechanics. The first phase is basically like you can use the chess pieces on the field to hit the king and queen. And the second phase, I can see right over here, you are actually fighting them directly. Now, this is pretty important because obviously you don't have the help of the chess mechanics, but they did hint that freeze may be useful because it helps delays their attacks, which I assume is going to be a one-hit KO attack that we've seen from like Rider Shogun or even the Scaramouche fight, stuff like that. So it's going to be important to, bring those characters in if you want an easier time. Not saying that you can't, because it's obviously been done without those mechanics, but freeze does help. Now let's talk about Escoffier, who is the new 5-star character. It's not going to be in depth of her kit because obviously there's a time for that. But basically, Escoffier is going to be Cryo Polam from Fontaine, and her main mechanic is to allow teams with Cryo or Hydro characters to shred the resistance of those elements. So obviously that plays into Freeze, although they did say that you don't need to, but obviously you get the most buffs from the Red Shred if you have more of those characters. As you can see right here, she's basically Gordon Ramsay because she's pissed off that she's cooking, right? Yeah. Where's the lamb sauce basically? But looking at the kit in totality, basically she's able to not only give the red shred to your team, but she also operates as a sub DPS and healer as well. Well, her skill is kind of like Xiangling. Oh god. Cryo, Pyro, both chefs, both with polams. Holy crap. Who could have called that? So looking at Escoffier's kit in general, besides her supportive expertise with the shred for cryo and hydro, she also is a sub DPS with her skill. Now obviously scaling does matter, but I guess with the shred it does make it a lot stronger for her anyways. But that being said, her skill summons a mech, which is basically like for food. Yeah, so that's going to be helpful for players who want off-field cryo application. And at the same time, her burst does have team-wide healing, which is obviously good, especially when paired with Farina, who's obviously going to be quite a bit of a mainstay on freeze teams in particular. That being said, she is just a pretty good unit if you play into that archetype, and maybe not so much as strong if you don't. So it's going to be very good for characters like Ayaka or even Risley, and who knows, we might get a future cryo character that will probably be like top tier with her. That being said, she also has a pretty interesting talent where if you use elemental energy on her mech, it basically cooks you food. Yeah, so like how you have the parametric transformer they can get materials from, basically that, but food. So it's going to be pretty decent for players who want to cook on the go. Not my cup of tea. Oh god, that's full reference. But yeah, hopefully her kit cooks. I did stop. Yeah, and like I said, she's going to be very good for teams of the freeze, especially those archetypes. And by the way, the shred doesn't require freeze to happen. You just need to use the skill or the burst to get the elemental red shred for both cryo and hydro. So the 4-star character is going to be also here will be Ifa, who's from Netland, a 4-star Anemo Catalyst, and he works mainly with the Electro Charge mechanic because he's able to buff that with Night Soul Blessings and stuff like that through his talents. Right, the more Night Soul Blessings your team has, or Night Soul Blessing points, basically, increases the effectiveness or the damage of Electro Charge and Swirl. And that, obviously, we all know he's good friends with Auroron, and he also works with that team comp. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how players build a full 4-star team with him. His burst does do damage to the team, but his main part of his kit is mostly his skill, at least at base kit, right, where he fires tonic shots, which not only damages but also does team-wide healing, which is obviously pretty neat. That being said, obviously as a 4-star, he isn't generating as much hype, but I always leave it to theory crafters to find some crazy way to build him up. Before I move on, I just want to mention there's going to be a new overworld boss where you can get materials for Escoffier. So don't pre-farm any boss's material for Escoffier because obviously the boss is not out yet. But basically this new boss, which is another version of the Secret Source Automaton Overseer device, right? And it's going to be the new area that's in 5.5. Talk about the banners. Phase 1, we do have Escoffier and Navia together with obviously signature weapon. But also Ifa will be making his appearance on phase 1 of 5.6. And for phase 2, we do get a rerun for both Kinich and Rider Shogun, which I find surprising because Archons usually have their own schedule. But if you think that was it, you are absolutely wrong. Inazuma Chronicle Wish is back. Yes, everyone's favorite. Whoa. But to be honest though, I'll just pause the video here. I do think the weapons for Inazuma characters absolutely pretty good, except for obviously the donut, which is Kokomi's weapon, the Everlasting Moonglow. That one is pretty bad. That being said, like, I think for weapons, it is actually not the worst thing in general, especially for weapons like Ayaka's weapon, and even the Uraku can be pretty good if you run any Geo character with a sword DPS. That being said, obviously older characters, except for Chiori and stuff like that. But, you know, obviously with Escoffier coming out, people might be a little bit intrigued with Ayaka. But I would say, obviously, wait until the drip marketing for 5.7 is out before you make any decision. When this comes out, I will assume the second half of 5.6, but there's no official announcement as of yet. But that being said, this lineup is pretty good, no matter what, because, you know, even without like the DPS power creep and stuff, you still have decent characters in like Kazuha. Chiyo is actually pretty decent. Yamiko can be pretty good. Kokomi, a little bit fallen off, in my opinion, but I think that she still has value in certain team comps. Now, the main event that comes alongside 5.6 would be the Fontaine event Whirling Waltz, which I feel some people are pretty excited to go back. But basically, it is an event where you do have some Netland characters, Aurora, Kinich, and Ifa appearing. And at the same time, you still see your favorites like Navia, Furina, Risley, Neuvillette all appear back again. But basically, for a short summary, this is basically an event with festivals and stuff. It's a little bit also has a management sim in it. So for players who want to build up like the entire festival and stuff, it will be pretty interesting to see how you can progress. But the main thing is that, like, as for the events itself, you will be playing through the like carnival rides or the attractions, right? So I guess that'll be pretty nice. And also the baggiest bagger of all Baggington, Lapine Pauline is back. So if you actually played that cutscene and whatever, yeah, she's actually back. But that being said, right, obviously, you know, it's just, you know, it's a fun event. There's obviously gonna be some story alongside, because they teased it in the trailer. But at the same time, there's also a 4-star weapon, the Sequence of Solitude, which is a bow that obviously we don't know what it does, but it can be pretty nice depending on what its kit is, and obviously the usual rewards as well. Right, so the first event that's going to be occurring, so one of those events going to be occurring for 5.6 is basically looks like Genshin Clash of Clans, where you try to defend your own base while trying to take them out first, right? So it's very simple. You put your squad on, and then you try to like basically survive and kill your enemy first. And, you know, it's obviously, you know, it looks like a little bit like Theater Mechanicus. I don't think it 100% is. It looks like a combination of like many events that have come in Genshin before. It is very similar to the current event that's running, where you just basically like hit people and try to like get coins, and the more you hit them, they lose their coins. What you're trying to avoid, you can obviously transform to Saurians in this, or you can use like your Netland character mechanics. So it's something interesting. I guess, you know, this is just for fun, right? It's just PvP for fun. So, you know, obviously people are like, oh, it's not real gameplay. It's like it's just for fun, guys. Like chill out. And lastly, okay, for you combat people, Chronicle or Shifting Stratagems is basically for you. Well, and it's very similar. You have two sides, and both sides will have different buffs depending on what you choose. And the difficulty, as you can see right over here, they have buffs for Frozen, which is going to be pretty nice for players, especially who have put Escoffier. But I wouldn't say that obviously it's a must. You can obviously run other characters that work well. So it's not really like, oh, this is an Escoffier event. And there might be other buffs in other stages as well. And there are also like leaderboards you can like compete against your friends if you're into that. TCG updates, for those of you who play the card game, you have new skins and new cards as well. So that's pretty standard. Leyline Overflow is back. And some of the optimizations, I never had my hopes up for Genshin optimization, but I guess the one thing that people might look out for is the new stuff for Imaginary Theater, basically a revamp to the UI for the blessings and buffs, and there are also more rewards for the seller rewards, which is basically the stars that you get for reaching a certain either milestone or a certain like clearing an opponent within like 45 seconds, right? Or like a certain challenge, right? So basically the challenge within the challenge rewards. 3 stars, you will get 8 of the EXP materials for artifacts. 6, I believe, is the transient resin, and 9 will be a sanctifying elixir. And once again, this refreshes every month. There's also a way to restart a stage or performance in case you are like kind of messed up and you want to get the max rewards. So that's also pretty nice for players as well. The second one is the talents and constellation optimizations. It basically just like kind of condenses some of the words, but you want to look at some of the keywords and actually look at the mechanics, you can also do that. It's kind of similar to what they have in Honkai Star Rail, except that you can actually just click over and see what's actually happening in terms of things like Night Soul blessings and stuff like that. Thirdly, the treasure compass is getting some decent optimization for players who want to explore more, especially with doing the warrior challenges. This is really nothing much, especially if you've done it already. For players who have not done it, especially the newest one, which is the Collective of Plenty, this may be useful as well. And it also helps with like the coin boxes that you can find around the world. That could also help as well. And lastly, there's also mass deletion of pins, in case you're the kind of guy that pins every single thing on the map. And so yeah, that's besides that. Obviously, there's some OST stuff as well, but the very last thing that they left us off with is the Song of the Welcome Moon. Stay tuned for April 30th. Unfortunately, I will be busy on the day, so I will be covering offhand, but hopefully we'll be able to talk about it when it comes out. Obviously, this is the Not Cry tie-in, where we know we are heading into in 6.0. So yeah, it's going to be, I guess a lot of people are pretty hyped for it. I am as well. And so this is something that we have to wait for like 5 more days. But once again, this is the recap for the 5.6 live stream. Do check out the redemptions code below in the pinned comments, but also let me know your thoughts of the patch. In my opinion, hopefully the story cooks. The events are there, right? And yeah, hopefully as we go into Not Cry and hopefully into Shashnaya in the upcoming big updates, hopefully this is a decent build up, because we see that this abyss thing has been happening in Netland and also in Luya with the Lantern Rite. That being said, obviously I want things like the artifact loadout, stuff like that, more optimization, no like Monday, Thursday, Sundays for like materials kind of things. But you know what, I leave that to maybe like a big patch like 6.0. But that being said, hope you guys like the recap, and I hope you get to see you guys soon. If you like this video, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And do note that I stream live on Twitch. Link is obviously down in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.